Hey guys, welcome along to Roadster Rumble Season 10. Tonight the boys are running a 30 lap, 90-minute Enduro from the mountain, which is Bathurst. Boys are currently out just doing a bit of practice before qualifying. So we might head on over shortly and see what everybody's up to. Gotta bear with me, I'm a little bit rusty, but we'll get this sorted. All right. While they're finishing their warm-up, have a look at race info for tonight, hopefully. Maybe. Nope. Decided it's not going to work. Oh, there we go. So currently it's oops, it was. Oh, this is a great start. There we go. It's currently 26 degrees, 54% humidity, clear skies, 3 kilometre winds. Most of that's probably coming from the drivers themselves, I would imagine. So we'll let's have a look and see who's setting some times. We've got 2 classes tonight. We've got the 2016 boys, which is Group A. They're the yellow numbers, and the Group B 2010 Mazdas. Slightly slow, a couple of seconds a lap slower on track, which will make life interesting over a 90-minute event. But hopefully everybody gets through and has a good race. We've got Hobbo standing by. He's going to Hobbo is lurking. I'll see if I can drag him into the broadcast room. There you go. You there, Hobbo?
Hello, Greg. How are you?
Good, mate. Yourself?
I'm good. I thought I might come in here and hang up the steering wheel for this week and come and pick up a microphone instead and spend some time with you, your booth.
Perfect timing. The boys are just heading out for a couple of laps of solo qualifying. You can't... this is going to be interesting. If I do this... Does that give you anything to actually look at?
Let's have a look. It does. I don't have any overlays, but I do at least see what you've got on screen. So we can work with that. That's all good. It'll be a learning experience for everyone, I think.
Yeah, especially me. I'm a little bit rusty. So currently that's Aaron Oliver that's out on track. Sorry, no, it's Ray Harrison. See, I was close. I should make people change these car liveries.
That's okay. We'll get the hang of it. I'm not used to seeing all the different liveries from all the different angles, actually. So it'll be a real learning curve for me tonight. But I'm looking forward to it, though. I think that this will be good fun tonight. We've got well, is it the greatest track in our part of the world and perhaps in the world in general? Mount Panorama, everyone's favourite over here in the land down under. So I think it should put on some good racing. Everyone enjoys themselves when they come and race here.
It should. Me, I'm not a fan of it, I must say. I've never really taken to Bathurst. It's probably
You're a brave man putting that out there in public, Greg.
Well, that's why I am sitting here and not out on track. So
yes, it is a personal favourite, I think, for most people in the field. I would imagine there's probably a few out there like yourself that have got other favourites, but universally loved, I think. Good old Bathurst, and we've done a few races here in these cars before, and the racing is always good. It's fast, like it's a track with a really high average speed and a lot of draft. So these cars actually go quite well around here, and I think we'll see a fair bit of tactics going on around some of the drivers, some people wanting to make the most of that draft, because it is very, very hard to drive away from people when you're evenly matched around here. So that'll be something to keep an eye out for, and of course traffic as well. Something else about Bathurst that's pretty well known is it is not a track where you can go side by side for, well, arguably half of the circuit, really all the way across the top. And although these cars are a little bit smaller and a little bit more agile, I still wouldn't be recommending side by side, but with two different classes, with about, I'd say it's about a 6-second lap difference between the fastest guys in the 2016 cars and the fastest guys in the 2010 cars. So long race tonight. I think we'll see a bit of traffic come into play as well. So lots of things to look forward to.
Yeah, the 2016 boys are going to have a bit of calculating to do as well, because they have their fuel tank is capped at just over 12 litres, and they've only got one set of tyres.
So is that one set on for the entire race, or the ability to change them?
No,
once?
so they can change one set during one of their pit stops.
Okay, interesting. Well, yeah, is it a compulsory change to change the tyres at some point?
It's not, no. It's entirely up to them, but I did warn people that I actually left Dynamic Sky turned on, which means the track will ramp up in temperature as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I know the majority of the 210 boys will probably look to change tyres, because the 210, the tyres will be shredded after about lap 15. So,
okay, that's interesting. There'll be lots to play out then, I think. Is there expected to be an appearance from any safety cars or anything tonight?
We always like to keep that under our hat, but basically, the only way we would call a safety car is if we wipe out half the field,
which is quite possible around here.
It's a very high probability. But once the race gets underway, we try to avoid safety cars as much as possible. I'm just doesn't seem like anyone has actually.
No times on the board just yet, but with a long way around for an out lap, and then our first flyer, I think we're going to start seeing some times pop up very soon. I'm seeing some fast times as well, actually. So this will be interesting to see whether or not anyone can put full lap together. Not a very long session, so you've got to make the most of your opportunities.
And right on cue, there's your favourite nemesis on track, young Jack. And wow,
yes.
I know I was going to say he hasn't appeared on the. Oh, hang on. There's a couple of purple sectors. Yep, that would be Jack. Straight to the top.
Yep. Yeah, you just got to look to purple, and that's where you usually find Jack. He is a menace. He is very, very fast and doesn't know any other way, does he? But I don't think he's going to get it his all way here today. I really don't. There's been some people, I think, have found a bit of pace here in the Mazdas over the last little bit, and I don't expect him to quite have it all his own way. I think there'll be a couple of people out there, actually, that can give him a good run for his money tonight, which would be good to watch.
Well, it'd be interesting because if, as expected, Jack wants to lead, I would still assume that he could do so, but does he want to lead and potentially help everybody else save fuel?
That's exactly right. There's a lot more to it than it's not so black and white, just go fast and win, as much as that is always a good strategy. There's a lot more to it than that, and like I sort of mentioned before, the high average speed around here means that the draft is strong, and it's pretty hard to pull a gap on people. And I mean, if anyone can do it, it's probably Jack. But with that being said, if he does end up with a few people behind him and just coasting around, saving a bit of fuel wherever they can, that actually will make a difference across a race this long. So you might see that not be the strategy that you want to employ. We'll just see what happens. But knowing Jack, he loves to go quick, doesn't he? So we'll see.
Yeah, it's as I said, it's going to be interesting because there's a few names in that list. Moz is having a good season so far, although I'll probably just put the mockers on him and
Yeah, we've got to be careful about who we talk about, don't we, in the commentary box, because that's a guaranteed way to put the curse on someone. But
it is, yeah.
yeah, you're right. Miles has had a good season so far. Lee Harrison has been exceptionally fast when I've been around so far this season. He's been very, very good as well. And there are others too. I'd expect to see a few people actually put in some good laps. But I will say it's a bit of a formidable thing when Jack goes out with no draft straight away and on his first qualifying lap goes quicker than what we saw in the warm-up session. So
yes,
we'll see. But that is a bit of a foreboding lap time there for some of these other guys. They'll have to have their work cut out, I think.
yeah. Looking at Group B, it's interesting. Anthony Connors has managed to grab the quickest time so far, but I know Darren Linus. I've been racing in the 210 car in recent times. I know Darren Linus is very consistent over a race distance, so I expect him to be up there. It's changing around a bit. Ant Cuthbertson is always quick. It's consistency for Ant that sometimes lets him down. He tends to rack up a few incidents. As looks like Jack's finished his qualifying run.
That'd be the last lap for him, I think. Yeah, depending on if he can get another one out of it here. Of course, the server being not a heat race format here, you might be able to see a few guys complete lap times after the checkered flag, but
yeah, I think it looks like most of them are actually finished. I think everybody's got out early and tried to. Adam St. John looks like he's just finishing off his second lap. Just trying to see who else might be out on track. There's the elder statesman, Mr. Boyd.
Another one of these people that's very, very capable, though. Make no mistake, he's certainly not as sprightly and young as Jack, but don't ever put anything past him. He's an old head, wise head on shoulders, and he's a very good steerer, isn't he? So you talk about consistency. Outright pace is one thing, but consistency is important. And Glenn, I mean, he's a very consistent driver, so I'd expect to see him go pretty well tonight.
The thing with Glenn as well is that he has a really good knack of saving tyres. He's incredible. When we were racing the GT4s, he would always jump in the Porsche, and the last third of the race, he was almost impossible to catch because he'd saved his tyres. So that might come in handy tonight.
Just try and manage it, and the guys in P2, 3, and 4, 2010, just be mindful.
I'd say it certainly will. I mean, it is a long race, so especially if anyone decides they want to try and go and not take tyres, then you're not going to be able to push too hard because you're going to wear them out. And tyres in these cars take a long time to change as well, so it's a big cost if you have to take tyres. I think you'll see a few people trying to not take any, but whether or not that'll be the right call, I don't know. Time will soon tell, I suppose.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those strategy nights. I mean, the last time we did an enduro this long, it was actually a team event. So it's going to be a long night for a few of these drivers.
Well, we talk about a 2.5 minute lap time there for pole position in that qualifying session, and 30 laps. That is a long way. That's a long race for these sort of cars around here. We got an hour and 25-minute long race in the session. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It is a long way though. It is a long way in these cars, and they aren't the hardest cars to drive by all means. They're not super fast and dangerous, but they're not the easiest either. They're pretty lively, and coming over across the mountain there, it'd be pretty easy to put it in the fence and make a big mistake. So concentration will be important, and going a long way is not necessarily an easy task in these cars.
It's especially with the 16 still has these rather unique characteristics on cold tyres, so it's going to take a lap or two for the 16 boys to actually get the tyres to come up to temperature.
Yeah, the first lap or two on this one will be very, very scary, I think, for a few people. The cars, like you said, they're on cold tires. They're very hard to drive. They're sort of like pointy, nosy sort of cars, but I think because of the short wheelbase on them, they aren't that easy to control when the tires get out from underneath you, which happens a lot when they're cold. So I can't speak too much to the 2010 cars, obviously, but the 2016 ones, which I've spent a bit of time in lately, in those first couple of laps, they are very challenging. And I mean, talk about tracks where there's no room for error. This is it. You just can't go off anywhere
No.
across the top without paying for it. So.
So we've got the qualifying results up while the boys are just having a having a quick warm-up session. So on pole for Group A is obviously Jack Boyd. Henry Fenson's done a good job to start off the front row alongside Jack. And we've got Aaron Oliver, Wayne Losh, Lee Harrison, Moz Moroz, Neville Mill, Jesse Carrick, Glenn Boyd, Damien Seeger will start at a 10th, Keith Logan, Cody Harrison, Mick Polly, Ray Harrison, Scott Baker, John Thorne rounds out the 2016 grid. And then if we can go over the page. Oh, look at that. So it's Anthony Connors starting on front row for the Group B boys. Then Ant Cuthbertson alongside of him, followed by Phil Paradiso, Darren Linus, Graham Ellis, Dave Gogol, Andrew Roberts, Shannon Curry, Michael Charlotti, Bard Rodkin, Adam St. John, Dean Logsdale, and Glenn Hill. Tyson Gordon didn't look like he set a time. Matt Knight hasn't set a time. Sean Memler hasn't set a time. Jason Locke hasn't set a time. PJ Whiteman, no time. Jamie Walker, no time. Obbo, of course, hasn't set a time because he's sitting in here with me.
Yes, I didn't quite remember to join as a spectator as opposed to a driver for this one, so I'll just be annoying and sit on the bottom of the timing tower for the whole night. That'll be good.
No, that's fine. I've done that many a time. The problem is if I do it now, it throws everything out. I can't actually show the qualifying time, so I've had to keep reminding myself that you have to come in as a spectator.
Yeah, so I certainly overlooked that. I realised as soon as I'd registered that was probably not the right thing to do, but it's not very often these days, Greg, that I can say I'm new to this when it comes to sim racing stuff. So, yeah, I'll claim innocent on that one because, yeah, like I said, it's not something that I normally do. I've not done much commentary on anything before, so something different tonight, and I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to have you on board. I know a few of the boys were quite keen when I let them know that you might be dropping in. So,
they say what I should have done is I should have put the word out there with some PayPal details for people if they wanted me to say anything nice about them. And I didn't even think about that in advance. So anyway, that's all right.
I might have already taken care of that for you. So there's just another. That's how they've actually gridded up for those that missed it previously.
When we look at the Class A results there in qualifying, there were a couple of surprises to me up near the front. I mean, that was a great effort, like you mentioned, from Henry to go on the front row. I think that's awesome to see. So this first couple of laps, like we mentioned, it's going to be pretty hairy, but hopefully these guys can keep it clean here. And yeah, we get ourselves off and going nice and cleanly and get into the race. And I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm slightly nervous, but
less nervous than if we were on the grid.
Well, that's true. I've been driving the 210 car as a full manual, and I must say that yeah, getting the clutch right sometimes can be a real pain. As the boys get underway, it looks like Jack's got a good jump. Managed to get across. Henry's happy to settle into second at the moment. That's Aaron Oliver and Wayne Losh behind him. So far, it looks pretty clean.
Yeah, look, watching at the back of the pack here, and looks like they've all got through turn 1 nicely. So that's the first challenge out of the way, and that's good to see.
It is, and it looks like already Henry's decided that he might want to lead this for a while.
Yeah, well, that is the best way to make sure you don't get swallowed up by the pack here, is to be at the front. So interesting decision, and it'll be keen to see now whether or not Jack decides to just sit there in second, or if he wants to get out there and race. It's a long way, and don't want to overdo it too early.
It's yeah, he was didn't seem that overly concerned to let Henry through there. So maybe Jack has already come up with a strategy. Well, looks like just going through the field. Looks like everybody's actually made it through so far on the opening lap. As we just head back to that's Anthony Connors currently leading the Group B boys, and already a bit of a gap opening up, which is not a bad thing. It's always a risk if you're coming up behind another group of cars and there's an accident.
That's exactly right, and we know that the 2016 cars are a bit faster than the 2010 cars, but on the first couple of laps with all the congestion, it doesn't take long to be in amongst the back of the 2016 pack. And to your point exactly, if there is an accident, which if there's going to be one, lap one's your best chance, yeah, you come up on them really quick around this track. There's not much time to react, so good to see everyone get through cleanly for starters, and yeah, without getting the two classes too combined and mixed up here and causing any chaos on the first lap.
It looks like Jack has already decided that he'll set the pace for a little while, and he's jumped back in front of Henry. Meanwhile,
I don't think it'll be the first time we see that. I think, like I talked about before, the way the draft is here, that I think you'll see a fair bit of backwards and forwards at the front of the pack. If you're not able to pull a gap, it's pretty enticing to just go for the move. You get a huge run down the straight, and yeah, when you get to race at the front, there's nothing better. So I think we'll probably see it more than once, and you know, I'm all for it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I've interesting mover so far on lap one seems to be Lee Harrison. It looks like Lee's decided that he wants to be a bit closer up the front. There's a bit of a gap opened up now, about 9/10 between himself and Loshi, who I know is really big on fuel saving. So I've got no doubt at all that Loshi will have a lap time in his head, and that's what he'll be trying to run to.
Yeah, no doubt. It's good to have an idea of your mileage and how much you want to try and save. I did notice a first little victim there in the first lap. Tyson Gordon just got the wall on the exit of Forest Elbow, tore up the right-hand front of the car and came down the pit lane to get it fixed. So seen him tumble down the order, which is a bit of a shame there on the first lap. But other than that, I think mostly everybody's got through cleanly.
Yeah, nothing's come up. It didn't actually register that Tyson had an off, so yeah, that was a good spot.
Yeah, it wasn't a big contact, but it doesn't have to be. You know, you sort of make just decent enough connection with the wall in these cars, and they do a lot of damage, particularly around the front end, the steering. They're pretty sensitive to wall contact, and if you bend a steering around here, I mean, you just may as well pit and get it fixed, because it's not going to be a fun time to try and stick it out around this track with bent steering.
Yeah, they have. They've been working a lot on the Mazda model, which even as recently as over the weekend, a few boys were saying that the damage model seems to have changed again. And you're right, just even the lightest of taps now seems to create more damage than what it ever has before. I've got a bit of a suspicion that the little MX-5 may be one of the first cars that iRacing chooses to use for the rain model, which is touted to come out with the next build. So that'll make it interesting.
Yeah, they did sort of throw that little bit of a tease out there for us, didn't they, the other day, and suggested that perhaps we might see some damp conditions here on iRacing in the next build. But I mean, they've been teasing us with these cars for ages. I don't know how long it's been that we've had wipers going when it's been dry and things like that in the little Mazdas. So I'm looking forward to that. You want to talk about carnage and chaos? I mean, wait till they put some rain on the track, and then we'll see what happens. I think that there'll be a few people that are relieved that we're not expecting to see any moisture here today, but I can't wait. I think that'll be just so much fun. Such an extra challenge. I may not think it's that fun the first time it rains on me when I'm on the track, but I am looking forward to it all the same. I think it's a big key to motorsport, isn't it? And something that we just don't have in the sim. So to be able to replicate that here would be really, really cool.
I think, yeah, the whole idea of what or the concept of what they're trying to create sounds really exciting, because it would virtually give you the opportunity to have a rain shower in the middle of a race and then have a dry track after it. So
yeah, I think I get excited by a lot of the things, and it's always hard to know how how accurate all this stuff will be. You know, iRacing strives on trying to do things so very well, but the whole idea of the dynamic track and the heat and the surface from cars driving over it and all that sort of stuff, you're not just going to get some gimmicky, oh, it's wet and it's dry sort of type thing. It's going to be, if all the cars theoretically drove strangely up one side of the track on the straight that's unusual, that's the part of the track that will dry, as the weather clears, because it's all dynamic and it's affected by the cars on the track. And I think that's really cool. I think that's it's going to be awesome. And iRacing don't really do things by halves. I'm sure they'll have a few little bugs they need to iron out when it does release, and it will release on specific cars by the sound of it, to start with. But in time, you know that they're going to get it right, and I think it's going to make for some really, really interesting scenarios that play out where you're right, like a quick 5-minute shower. Is it worth coming down and getting those wet tires? Do you stay out on the slicks, or yeah. And then does it dry up on you and you got to go back to slicks again? I think that there's some really cool outcomes from what that can do for the racing, and of course, cars on slick tires in the rain. That's something else we're going to have the pleasure of witnessing.
Yeah, it's and I think that's to your point. I think that's why the little Mazda has struggled so much in relation to the change in the tire, constant change to their tire modelling. But hopefully the end result is that they get it right, and the end result when it does rain is you will actually notice a big difference between a wet and a dry track.
Well, yeah, you would assume so. And I mean, they do it quite well with the different surface types that they've got, like dirt versus the pavement, that sort of stuff. We see it work well. We've seen them have done a good job with that before. So you'd expect them to nail it again with the wet. Wouldn't be an easy thing to accomplish, no doubt. But I think that they'll do it well. They don't do things by halves, like I said before. So I'm sure they'll nail it.
Yeah, it's
also just noticing there's a bit of a split in the pack. I was just going to say that Cody Harrison's dropped way off the back here of Jesse, P11, P10 here in the Class A cars and 2016 cars. A big gap is formed right in the middle of the field there, and that's just slowly been creeping out from the start. So clearly a bit of a difference in the pace from that lead group that are all just line astern and just cruising along in the draft together, and then a bit of a fragment there in the middle of the pack.
Oh, Jack's hit the wall there. Wow. Jack's hit the wall. I wonder what... Oh, that's so unlike Jack, isn't it?
It is unlike Jack. I'm just going to go back and have a little look at that, because I'm interested. Oh, yes, he's turned in too early at Skyline and got the inside wall, and it's unsettled him all the way down to the dipper. That's very uncharacteristic.
And he's got damage. He's got damage on that car. He's moved across to... let the other guys through. He's wow, that's going to be an early pit stop for Jack, and that's really going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons, because
it is,
unless he's just checking to make sure, because he's pulled back in line now behind Aaron and Lee, so maybe. But you can see the damage on the side of the car there where he's hit the wall.
He's decided to press on with it. He's happy enough with where it is, but that won't be making it easier to drive. I had a little bit of a look, and it seems though the steering might be tracking okay. So sometimes that doesn't slow you down, but it does make it a lot harder to drive when the wheel's out of alignment. But the aero impact of that damage on the side of the car probably won't help either, particularly if he's in the lead. So if he's happy enough with how it's driving and can sit in the group here and use the draft just to hold on, there's no real urgency for him to come down, I guess. But be really, really interested to see what happens here, because if Jack comes down and pops out to clean air somewhere, what does that do to the rest of them? Even if it is sort of unscheduled,
Yeah.
does he then have the ability to go out and try and build a gap with his pace? So, yeah, it's going to play out very interestingly. Very interesting.
They only have 3 fast repairs as well, so that may also come into play, where you can't afford too many scrapes and bumps, because you're going to run out of fast repairs, and the last thing you want to be doing is sitting in the pits for any length of time.
Yeah, absolutely, and you'll burn them up around here pretty quick too. And you can use a fast repair to repair non-significant damage. I mean, a little scrape along the fence that tears a bit of paint off, that will trigger a fast repair in the pit stop. You might not realize you're going to use it, but you do.
Yeah.
So if you're not paying attention here, you can use them up as well by accident, if that makes sense. So yeah, you don't want to be using up any you don't need to. And yeah, around this track, it is pretty easy to get the walls just a little bit. And yeah, you don't want to have, like you said, you don't want to have a bit of a shunt late in the race, then realize you got no fast repairs to get it fixed.
No. So just jump back and have a look at the Group B boys. Still Anthony Connors leading that group, just ahead of Ant Cuthbertson. These boys have well and truly formed a Congo line.
They have, haven't they? And I've been keeping one eye on the Class B guys as well, because I've just been interested to see what their pace looks like, and yeah, whether or not anyone's able to break away in this group, but not so far. Absolutely not. So this one's going to go down to the wire too, I think. It's going to be hard to pull a gap on people. Pit strategy may make a difference, and we might see that be what separates a few of the cars, but it seems like no one's going to be able to just drive off the front, like I sort of said before, with the way the draft is. So it's what we want to see. We want to see close racing. It's
yeah,
no fun watching people just go around driving by themselves. So yeah, hopefully these guys get the elbows out and have a bit of fun.
I wonder if it's a bit of a conundrum, because you only really need to pit. It's an open fuel tank on the 10 car tonight, so you can effectively pit once. There is no auto refuel on the 10 car. iRacing didn't include that on any of the legacy cars, so basically you can either pit and try and guesstimate how much fuel you're going to need, or, as a couple of the boys alluded to earlier tonight, perhaps split it over 2 pit stops and do tyres twice. Because
well, I guess it depends on how bad the tyre wear is. Yeah, I mean, if it's bad as you say, then maybe there's an appealing factor to that. The thing is that the tyre changes on these cars take a long time. Be it either the 2016 or the 2010 cars. You got to factor in whether or not you're going to make that time back. And I don't think you'll see too many people opting to do it if they can help it. But if the tyre wear is that bad that you just have to change them, well, you don't get much of a choice. So, you know, we could see some interesting stuff play out later, where there's a couple of people sort of wobbling around on really worn tyres trying to hold on, and some other people on the charge trying to, you know, reel in the gap on good tyres. So I hope something like that does play out. I'd like to see something like that happen. But the pit stops are very slow. You'd be perhaps smarter to maybe look at trying to do a couple of tyres or something and split it that way if you're going to do it over 2 stops. But I don't know that you really want an unbalanced car either. So who knows what they'll decide that they want to do. It could be very, very interesting, I guess.
I suppose the thing is too, I'm just looking at the lap times, like for Anthony out in front, and his last lap was a 2:40. Now yesterday in practice he could run 37s, so we're only on lap 6 and he's into the 40s already. So there's really no need to fuel save, but is it tyre conservation that they're all trying to work
and
with
an element
well?
of self-preservation perhaps too. You don't want to push the limits too hard either around here. If you can, but you obviously risk that was great.
That was a bit sideways. I think this might actually be lap times might be equivalent to tyre.
Based off that little bit of vision right there, I think you might maybe be right. I was going to go down the path of maybe let's not take it too much risk, but then you watch what they're doing on screen and think, well, I'll probably eat my words straight away on that one because doesn't look like there's much preservation going on out there at all at the minute. So you're right, though. The lap times have dropped off. I mean, they're about a second away from their fastest. Oh! I just saw that too, the shot on the replay. My end. Who was that? The third place car? Was that Philip that got the wall?
Darren, Linus?
It was Darren, yeah. Darren just got the wall on the exit of the elbow.
Yeah, he's dropped a couple of spots, or one spot at least. Looks like that's a 216. That's Tyson Gordon making his way back through the field after the earlier off. But
he's decided to press on, but that hurt badly because that was coming onto the longest straight on the track, and having to get out of the throttle like he would have there to try and not hit the wall any harder than he did definitely hurt his run on the straight. And look at the time he lost. So for his sake, hope he can jump back in the draft here and pull that gap back without too much damage. But that was almost a big one. That was very close.
It's that's the one spot, like you said, I think that you really don't want to hit the wall because of the fact that it slows you down for the whole of Conrod.
Yeah, well, I think there's about 20, is it 23 corners around this track or something? So there's probably about 23 places that you don't really want to hit the wall around here. But you're right, though. That one's got a big effect. And even if you don't hit the wall, but you have to lift out of it really hard to not hit it, you do affect your run all the way down that longest straight on the whole track. So, you don't want to have to get yourself in any trouble coming down there. Of course, the tricky part about it is the big downhill braking zone that we see them all coming down into at the moment is probably one of the hardest spots to actually stop the cars on the track. I mean, downhill, you've got the huge camber in the road. You sort of everything about physics is saying that the cars shouldn't stop there. And if you're trying to put in a lap time or whatever, it is one of those places on the track where a mistake is very easy to make. And have a look at this down the straight. This is unreal. Look at them all. How many of them are there? There's like 10 cars in a line right there. That's fantastic. I can speak from experience, having done a bit of this stuff here before, that there is a lot of people at 3/4 throttle there just driving down the straight, saving some fuel, because if they all just kept the boot in it, they'd be 7 wide down into the chase and it'd be a bad time. You see one of them pop into the pits. Who's this? This is
Wayne Losh. Yep.
That's Wayne. That's Loshy. He's come in. He's decided to do it. He's gone off strategy. So he might feel like he's been held up right here and wants to get in a lap time. Maybe try and get a bit of an undercut against some of these other guys. This is going to be really interesting. See where he pops out as far as traffic's concerned.
Well, the thing is too, there would be one pit stop that will require a shorter fuel. So I'm just wondering if he's gone in for he's doing effectively his splash and dash early.
Well, this is what's going to be interesting for us now, is that we're going to get our first reference here for pit stops. So we'll see what the stop time is like, and we've got a whole bunch of them coming in behind. So I do wonder if maybe they're getting towards the end of the range here. Perhaps maybe he was a little short on fuel. Maybe he wasn't saving enough in that lead group. I'm not sure what the range is on 12 litres or whatever the tank limit is.
Yeah, I think most of them were sort of talking around the 1.3, I think 1.4.
Okay, so it's about 9-10, maybe 9-10 laps, something like that. So we are getting close to the range, but probably not quite out yet based on that. So we have got quite a few that have come down though. There's been 7 cars, something like that. So
Seven, but there's 8 of them have pitted in the.
Of course, Tyson is just there behind Loshy on track, only a few seconds back. A little bit more than that, but he pitted 6 laps ago. He came in there to repair his damage in that first lap. So his stop was only 7 seconds, but looks like around 19, 20 seconds, maybe 18 is about the time it took for everybody there. So based off some of that, it looks like Loshy actually used a little bit more fuel than a few of the guys. Keith Logan looks like he's got perhaps the shortest stop so far. Jason Locke as well, 18.5 seconds. So now we wait and see. Obviously, an extra lap on the track for the leaders means they've got to take an extra lap's worth of fuel, so their stops might be a little slower. Perhaps Loshy pops out here at the front of the queue.
Well, depends how many of these cars, how much fuel they've actually saved, I suppose, by being in this train.
Yes, that's right. And I guarantee they're all saving, except for probably Aaron, who's been on the front. Jack a little bit when he was leading, perhaps. As he comes down, look at this.
Yep.
This is interesting. A whole bunch more down, and guess who stays out? And now we will see what sort of pace Jack Boyd's got on board, because I expect him to rip on this lap and put down the best possible time that he can. Try and build a little bit of a gap, perhaps. If he's got anything in hand, this is where we're about to see it.
And interestingly enough, the terrible twins, Oz and Damo, have decided they're doing whatever Jack does.
I know from personal experience, if you ever want a good strategy, it's just copy Jack, because he knows what he's doing. And as far as the threat for me, I think here is probably his pace, if anything. So if you just mirror him, he can't pull that gap while you're, in the pack with the others jostling for position or anything like that. You just go around with him, and if anyone's going to go fast, it's probably going to be him. And the easiest way to stay with him is just to stay in his draft. So let's see what happens here. Moz is about to come around turn number 1, and Loshy about to come around turn number 1 and see where he pops into the field. He's come out just behind Lee and Aaron by the look of it.
So we'll jump.
So
down.
status quo on that one.
It is too, yeah. He's back in that pack, so
pretty much right where he's peeled out is where he's peeled back in.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens on the next time around with Jack and see whether or not he's been able to make any gain. But if there is a splash and dash pit stop on offer right here, I wouldn't be that surprised to see someone like Jack perhaps take it right here and try and catch the rest of them out, get himself out by himself away from the pack. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I suppose the big thing too is the unknown for all of us at this stage is whether, in fact, even though he's sat in the tow, when you get damage on one of these cars, it tends to throw everything, including the fuel, out the window. So
yeah, now that he's in clean air, you're right. If there is any underlying pace issues with that car, that's going to be hurting him right now that he's punching the hole in the air. So
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The fuel burn might have been higher as well while he was in the pack. There's a few different things that can happen. But obviously he's pretty comfortable to go the extra lap and thinks he can do something with it. So I fairly well expect that we'll see these guys down the lane this time. We'll see what happens.
Yes, there's 9 laps. That would be around, unless they've managed to save a heat. No, they're all peeling in.
No, here they come.
Look.
Here they come.
And in the background, I hate to put the bozzer on him, I reckon Damo's run out of fuel.
Is coughing to the lane.
Oh, Damo's going to hate me for this, but he. The thing with Damo, we've worked out, is that he left foot brakes, and he tends to rest his foot on the brake.
Well, that's not very economical for pace or fuel mileage. I am also a left foot braker in these cars with the sequential gearbox in them, but I definitely don't drive around with the brake on. That's definitely not the way to do it. I'll put that one out there right now. So
I used to. I tried it once, and it was actually Loshy that pointed out to me that doing a lap with your foot on the brake really slows you down. So I gave it away and went back to right foot
that's a little pro tip out there from One Sim Racer there. Just this one, just between you and me, Greg. Don't tell anyone else. But if you do put a little bit of a dead zone in the top of your brake pedal, if you're a left foot braker, you can rest your foot on it without engaging the brake. So
okay.
something to perhaps keep in mind there for some people. But this is interesting. Jack has popped out behind this main group right here.
He has. He's about 2 seconds.
And he's got
down.
a little bit of a gap to make up the distance. He has got that damage fix though, which is important. But let's see whether or not he bridges that gap quickly. I think he will. But he's going to have to burn some fuel to get there.
Yeah.
The interesting thing, though, with this is that if we go through and have a look at some of the pit stop times, his pit stop time was 22.7 seconds. Henry was at that 22 as well, as was a couple of the others. But we looked at Loshy was in first, 19.7. So there's a couple of second stationary time in hand now.
Yep.
For Jack, going those extra couple of laps before he pitted. So someone like Loshy here, he's going to have to be a little bit careful when we get around to the pit stops later, that he's now going to be at a little bit of a disadvantage on fuel drop. So we'll see if that plays out and whether or not that has any impact later or not. But he might have to get hard on the fuel save here to get back in the game, perhaps.
I'm guessing that he'd be more than happy to sit behind Lee and Aaron, and potentially short shifting to try and get that disadvantage back. Loshi is, we call him the professor. He is very good at his, oh, someone's hit the wall there. I don't know if you just picked that up. Somebody's just smacked the wall.
No, I didn't see that one. I was actually going back and having a bit of a quick look through Class B to see how that was all shaking out, and didn't have my eyes on that one. So
I don't know who it was. None of the cars look overly damaged, so it might have just been a scrape. It may have, may have been lucky there, unless it was a brake lock.
Sometimes it can be deceiving as well. There's a couple of spots, and you don't see it as much in these cars, but I've spent a lot of time doing supercar racing around here. There are a couple of spots around this track where, I did just see Philip just get the wall on the exit of the elbow there, a little bit further back in the pack. But there are a couple of spots where there's like a net code hit with the walls. It'll trigger a contact on the wall, but not actually hit the wall, if that makes sense. So
yes, yep.
That does happen sometimes. Be a little bit of a deception at play, but yeah, you know, you don't want to hit the wall, so you want to hope that that's what's happened if you're the person in the car.
But just looking at the gaps, Jack has well and truly closed that gap down in that lap. He is certainly pushing hard, but that's obviously burning fuel at the same time.
It is, and what he's actually done there, if you notice, is he's pulled a bit of a gap over Moz and those behind as well. Yes. So now it's on them to make that same effort and bridge the gap as well. I mean, the draft is powerful. I don't think it's beyond any of those guys in that group to make that gap up over time. But yeah, every lap that you're not tucked under the back of someone, you are using more fuel. Interestingly, Jack going for some clean air as he comes up Mountain Straight, just to talk me wrong about the draft. Just go and get clean air. But yeah, it is interesting. He bridged that gap very quickly, and the others, it doesn't look like the others could go with him there. So perhaps a bit ominous, the pace that he's got there, maybe with those other guys, unless they're just being far more conscious about the fuel burn.
If I know anything about Lee, I would be guessing that he's in two minds at the moment as to whether he tries to make a break for it or looks to conserve a little bit of fuel. He's doing all the donkey work at the moment, so sort of a bit torn for options.
Well, it's a bit damned if you're doing, damned if you don't, really, when you're in his position. I mean, no one is going to pull over on the side of the track and let other people go past.
That was Lee again. That was definitely Lee that hit the wall that time.
Yeah, you sort of, if you're in the lead, you sort of got to go for it, and it's exactly what it looks like he's doing. You say if you know Lee. If I know Lee, and I've spent a little bit of time racing against him, I reckon he'll be going full send at the minute. But you see here, he got that bad run onto the straight.
Yep.
And being the leader of the pack, and has just got no speed here down at the bottom coming into the chase, and yeah, he's out of it, and now he's into P2. So I think his mindset changes straight away. He goes, now, all right, I need to start saving a bit here, and it doesn't look like he's got any real damage or anything from the contact, so he might have got away with that one, but the mindset changes straight away now for him. I think just sit right on the bumper and save everything I can, which is the way you have to treat this one. If you're in the lead, you don't have much of a choice, but if you're not, then you just got to be saving. You just have to be.
Yeah, looking at the lap times as well, the Aaron 2:33, Lee at 2:34 that time around, so they are definitely off the pace slightly, but the pack is closed back up again now. So,
well, the other factor too is I think we were at around about 26 degree track temp thereabouts when we started the race. We're up to 33 now, so track is getting hotter. The cars will be getting a bit greasier and not playing as nicely for them on the track surface. So that's a factor as well. We get a nice that's wide.
Neville's gone wide. I think he was trying to follow Loshi then.
Yeah.
Obviously trying to stay with Loshi, who's now gone to the front. But
yeah, that was very, very, very lucky. I mean, the outside at turn 2 is no man's land. We've seen it over the years in any form of racing at this track. But if you get out over that, it's like a crown in the road right in the middle of the track. And once you're on the outside of that, especially longer into the race, you get more rubber and tyre build up on the surface of the track. Once you get out there, you're in real trouble. And it's so deceptive too, because you feel like you're going slow and you're still going fast. The wall comes so quick. Yeah. And you do not want to be out there. And he found out the hard way that's not the place to be. Very, very lucky, though, to keep that one out of the wall and really can fight on for another day.
So, just going back to your earlier point, Cody still seems to be... He's still that 13 seconds off the lead group, and now he's got Damo for company. Obviously, Damo's fuel stop went horribly wrong.
He didn't. But the strategy has not been optimal quite for Damo, unfortunately, this time around. But yeah, he's paid the price for it there. He's found some friends, which is good. He can get around there. But the thing with Damo, I feel like he might be one of the quietest achievers up in the 2016 group cars. Like, he's such a gentleman racer. He does such a great job of getting out there and being around everyone, doing the right thing. But don't underestimate his pace. I mean, I've had a few races where I've been ragging it as fast as I can, and I'll look at the relative and he'll be just right behind me. Like, he's very fast. He is very good, and it's a disappointing thing for him now to be, like you said, that far away from that lead group. It'd be pretty tough to make that gap back up now. So, I mean, he'll be hoping for perhaps a safety car or something, as we have got a crash on the exit of the Forest Elbow. Who was that? That was Scott Baker. He's just had a bit of a moment there coming onto
I might see if I
onto
can...
Conrod Straight.
Let's have a look and see if we can find a replay. I've got...
Yeah, I didn't pick up what happened to him, but I did find him backwards on the track.
Oh, yes. So he's hit the outside wall, which has then flicked him across the track into the inside wall. He's managed to get back, but that's a lot of damage. That'll be a...
Yeah, that one's definitely a fast repair job, that one, and that hurts because you're out of sequence as well as the time that you've lost. So
yep.
That's a real shame. And we haven't seen too many people come unstuck in a big way, which has been good. But that's a real disappointing one for him. Yeah.
So,
I actually stumbled across that because I was keeping a close eye on the Class B race for the lead, and these guys are not letting go. It is continuing to be a bumper train here. It's not only happening at the front of the field outright, it's happening with these guys too, and they cannot shake each other. So Anthony, and Darren, it's on. These guys are shaping up for a really good result. And Philip, of course, just off the back here too, he's got one of the Class A cars in front of him at the minute. I think that's Jason.
Yeah.
So he's got a bit of tow there. Maybe he can utilise some of that to help bridge some of the gap, but he's just far enough away off the back at the minute that he's going to need to put in some good lap times or something clever with the strategy to probably get that gap to those three at the front. But it is a really good race that those guys are having, at the pointy end there for Group B.
Yeah, they're Anthony's up to 15th overall at the moment, which is not a bad effort. They're these three are certainly glued together at the hip, though, aren't they? They
haven't shaken each other for the whole race yet, and I think that there's a good chance that this one will come down to the last lap between these guys. Hopefully it does.
which may or may not be an interesting concept.
It's always interesting when you're watching from the outside.
They got Jason Locke coming up behind them now, so hopefully Jason will sit tight until they get down on... Oh, Anthony certainly sends it sideways over the top there.
That's what you want. Leaving nothing on the table. It's good. See, a little bit further back as well, Scott Baker's rejoined after getting his fast repair. He's come out with his buddy, John Thorne, right with each other on track. So hopefully no shenanigans there between the teammates. But they've at least got someone to race each other now, even though they're a bit off sequence with the leaders. So
Darren tends to drop off the back of these two across the top, but I think again Darren might be just playing that a little bit of safety first across the top of the mountain, because he's not dropping that far back. That although Jason sort of might have held him up a little bit. He's got in
the middle of the mix here a little bit, but he's still close enough. I think the draft will be strong enough to keep him in the fight there. And maybe to your point earlier, like take it easy across the top. It's a bit safer, but also a bit better on fuel. Is it? Well, I thought they were coming down the pits for a second there, but this is a bit interesting. Oh yeah, here we go.
That was a rather shrewd move, wasn't it?
It was. I was caught off guard a little bit by that one, but we've got 3 wide down the main straight with 2 different classes and 1 car a lap down. This can only go one way. There's a move for P2. Look at that. That was opportunistic. Darren was right onto that one, so that was really good.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a drag race up Mountain Straight.
I think he, I think he might have worked out very quickly that the Ant was throwing him a bit of a dummy with the pit stop, and Ant Cuthbertson followed Anthony Connors, and then by the time he sort of realised he'd lost a bit of momentum, so let's put Darren back up into P2.
Good heads-up driving there by Darren to get that one up the inside. So now he's in the middle, and it'll be interesting to see if he does still continue to just leave a gap across the top, or if he sticks right on the bumper here and goes a little bit quicker across the mountain this time. I thought he was in very deep there into the cutting, but pulled up nicely. That was good.
It looked like there might have been a couple of grabs at the brake.
It's so important to get that corner right too. Like the entry, you don't want to go too fast in because it's all about your corner exit. You don't think about that corner in a lot of cars as being that important for your corner exit, but in these you're flat all the way from there, all the way to Skyline. So if you lift and don't get a great run up out of the cutting in these cars, it actually hurts you all the way. And because you're coming uphill, it's even worse. So is it flying down the mountain? That's really nice. He's actually had a very good run down the hill. I like that. So these guys are set to keep going and take this one all the way to the end. I can't wait. The pit stop will be interesting to see whether or not anyone can make an advantage out of that, but hopefully they stick together all the way to the finish and we get a showstopper on the last lap.
I think these three are going to play the game, and when one pits, the other two will follow, unless Mark is.
What
have we got?
Sorry to interrupt. Someone, I think that was Moz, I think has had a complete wheel failure coming up Mountain Straight.
Hang on.
I just caught that one out of the corner of my eye, and he was just driving up Mountain Straight and turned hard left into the fence in the middle of the straight. That was very unusual.
It
looked like his wheel disconnected or something. Very unlucky, if that's the case. That's going to be costly. I've done enough driving with Moz to know that he probably didn't have an accident right there. I think that one had more to it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely some sort of a
failure of some sort there. Which is, I mean, we talk about sim racing. We don't have to worry about mechanical failures with cars and things, but we do have that element to the sim with our hardware and things like that. And that's an unfortunate outcome there. For Moz, who was running right at the front and has had a great season, so that's a real shame. Bad result here tonight because of that, and it wasn't really his fault, so that's really disappointing.
No, he'll certainly be looking at this is one of his drop races, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Unless something miraculous happens.
We did just have let's see who that was. I think it was Keith. Just came down the lane there. Keith Logan, Mick Polly, Ray Harrison, Jason Locke, all down the lane for their second stop in the Class A cars.
Lap 14, yep.
And I did see, I think it was Keith Logan's car up on the jacks. Now, I didn't catch how many tyres he took, but it looked to me like that car went up on the jacks on the right-hand side at least. So I'm looking at the stop time, and this time around they were a little bit longer. They were in the mid-20s, so 20, 23, 24, 25 odd second pit stop. So tells me perhaps we saw some tyre changes there at this juncture of the race at the halfway point. So that would make some sense.
And it would appear that Loshi has gone early. We've also been joined now by the man himself, Moz.
Well, we need some kind of explanation, don't we? Because that was very, very average driving, or something completely unlucky's happened right there. So fill us in.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. It sounds like I cooked my drive. So pedal went straight to the floor. I lost all power steering, and I couldn't get it back up and running. It just won't turn back on.
We did speculate that it looked like some kind of a technical failure, which is that's heartbreaking and very, very unlucky. I mean, we talked about how good of a season you've been having and how fast you've been, and to have a result like that from something that was not your fault at all is just really disappointing.
Yeah, it is a little bit, especially because I had a few cars under my sleeve. The guys were talking about pitting in the next lap or two, and I still had another 4.5, 5 laps.
Oh, wow.
Of fuel. Yes. Yeah, it's interesting. These races are they're a little bit cat and mouse. Some of us are getting a bit bored and jumping ahead, and the others are sticking to their strategy.
It's it's certainly up and down. I noticed Lossie's pitted. Neville, Mel, and Damo have done likewise. So that we've got that gap again now, where we'll have to wait for the leading group to do their second stop to see how it all plays out. But
I did see at the start of this lap too, there's a bit of racing happening up into turn number 2. Glenn to the lead here of this group. So not the optimal way to set fast lap times is to go side by side. So either he felt like he was getting held up and needed to get some pace going, or just wanted to race. And I mean, it's not the fast way to do it, passing people when you're trying to put in a good in-lap time. So be interesting to see what happens here. We know there's a couple of cars that are potentially slightly better off from fuel than others. So I think this is where we might see, this next stop might be where we see some of the gaps start to form for those that have done a really good job of saving some fuel. I guess time will tell. It's a shame there. It sounds like Moz might have been one of those ones who was on to perhaps make an advantage here at the second stop.
Yeah, it was Glenn and Jack and I. Glenn actually, I think, was over it 2 laps ago. He came from nowhere and started passing everyone. Damo, unfortunately, decided to run with Jack and I and ran out before he got to the
we
pit.
saw that.
We did notice that, yeah.
Yeah. I was in the...
That might be on the stream a bit later, Moz.
Oh, will it? Okay, yeah, we're in the Discord together, and I was chatting with him. Hey, David, what's going on? You got fuel too? And he goes, yeah, I've got 0.6. And I looked, and we're at the start of the lap.
I think we need to pull some money together and get a crew chief there for Damo. Maths on the fly may not be his strongest suit there based on that, but nonetheless, he's still out there and having a go, and he's racing some people before. He's actually got a little bit of clear air around him at the minute, so we'll see what happens as the next round of pit stops cycles through. But I did see this time around, Glenn was the one who jumped in from this lead pack, and the others have all stuck out here. There's another 4 or 5 still out on track by the look of it at the front here. So we'll see what happens this time around. We did see it was Jack was amongst those that went the longest in that last stint, him with Aaron and Lee, so and Henry as well. So these guys are all the ones that ran a little deeper in that first stop, and they've obviously decided to continue that here at the second one.
Wow, and just looking, it looks like the Group B boys have now they're swapping around.
Well, they're mid-cycle at the minute. They're in the pit lane right now, so they're going through the middle of their strategy as well. So we'll see how this all plays out. I want to keep a close eye on these guys, and we do see tyres changing here. Looks like, who have we got? Darren might be taking tyres, I think, by the look of it, but he might be the only one. Oh no, Philip. But I actually think Ant Cuthbertson here did not take tyres. So
wow. And
Darren did.
And Anthony Connors stayed out. He didn't pit.
He's going to go around again here and see how that plays out for him. He might want to observe and just see whether or not the other guys decide to take tyres or not. So,
meanwhile,
Darren's already off the Jackson gone because he didn't take tyres. And Ant's actually already out as well. So we'll see what happens here. I don't know if not taking tyres would be the way to go, but I guess we'll soon find out. There's actually a bit of a gap there between those guys.
Yeah. Looks like Lee, Aaron, Vincent,
they're all in the pits. Jack's now gone to the front, so
might have to watch where Glenn Boyd is and Neville Mel, because I saw they came out together. We'll see how these guys slot in.
They're in the same group with Loshi.
Yeah.
So just waiting now. We'll see whether Loshi gets ahead of Aaron and Lee. They're still in the pits.
Yeah. Well, Loshi's got a bit of a lead on Glenn and Nev.
So there's Loshi now. Jack's obviously up the road. Pit
Looks like a good undercut here, Loshi.
Yeah. Yep, He's made it through. So's Neville. So's Glenn. Wow. Interesting.
So I do wonder if there's a little bit of strategy at play here. I don't know if it's all fuel saving or not, but when we look at pit stop times for the second round of stops, Loshi with a 19.8 second stop, everyone else in the 22s and 23s pretty much. So that's where the gain is. We see him a few seconds up the road. It's because his pit stop was a little shorter. So whether he's decided to drop a little less fuel to get some clean air, or perhaps he's just saved more fuel than the others around him and has, just been an outright win for him here on stop time. So we won't know the real answer to that till later on at the next lot of stops. But yeah, that's interesting. He's got some clean air now and has to put in some really good lap times and try and pull a bit of a gap here and establish himself at the lead by himself.
Yeah, it's sort of a bit awkward now, isn't it? He's all on his lonesome, so he's going to have to sort of try and set himself a lap time target and stick to it.
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard to do that, but if you can do it, then a clear advantage. You're out of that draft train, and if you've got better pace.
Accident in front of Losh.
Andrew Roberts going to go and have a look at that, because that one did come up on my screen.
Yes.
So Andrew,
look like
Andrew Missile Roberts, we call him. Oh, and just as the leader, we know all about that, don't we, Hobbo?
Oh yeah, that's always the way. If you're going to have a good crash, make sure it's right in front of the lead pack.
Well, that was thinking back to Suzuka that night, where you actually won by about a month of Sundays, because Andrew took out Jack and I think it was Brad Wooten at the same time.
I do remember, yes. That was a great race.
He joined us on the broadcast because
out by myself in the front.
There wasn't much else happening. So, Jack's in the pits.
Yeah, we'll see how this one shakes out. This will be interesting right here. That's all that was going on. Really interesting one for Graham Ellis. Was in the pits and the car blew up when he came to the pit stop and then instantly repaired itself. So that was quite fortunate timing. Here comes Jack out of the lane.
I wonder if Graham was having a smoke at the time.
Well, that's what it looked like. The thing came to a stop and it just lit up in smoke, and then instantly fixed itself with a quick repair. So that was unbelievable timing.
He's dropped the butt in the fuel tank.
Yeah.
Looks like Jack's slotted in behind Lee. So Loshi's on a cool strategy. Glenn's going for a move on him.
Yeah, which is, I think Loshi will be happy to facilitate.
Yeah. Losh was. I was just going to say, Losh was on a different strategy from the start because he pitted really early. I noticed we're doing 235s, which is quite slow around here, considering Jack's fastest at 231, and we normally all can do 232s. So he was thinking 3 seconds slower a lap. Let's get in the pits, throw in some fast ones, and get an undercut in.
Yep.
Oh, interestingly, the last pit stop, Neville Mal's was the longest as we go round a lap car across the top. That's scary. I think that might be barred.
Yeah, and Aaron might have noticed at the last minute that needed to take some evasive action there.
That was good. Everyone got through it.
Back in the Group Bs, Anthony Connors he's at the pit exit.
Yeah.
So where is Ant Cuthbertson currently leads? This will be interesting.
He's miles out in front at the minute.
Ant's dropped Darren Linus. But where does this leave Anthony Connors? No.
Yeah, he's up the road.
Yeah.
He's up the road. Just a little bit though. Close enough. Oh, it's close enough. It's there. He's right there.
Looks
all three of them.
Looks like we've got a bit of action at the front. Nev's making a move on Losh.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Good spotting.
Yeah, I did sit behind Boydie, Jack, a little bit, and obviously in the tow, it's easy to keep up on a track like this. But when I didn't have a tow, Jack's he's a machine. So if you lose the tow, if you're 1.7, 1.8 seconds out, it's very difficult unless you've got the speed.
Oh, hang on a minute. I don't know what this is all about, but we're going to have a look. But this is Lee. Oh, he's just run wide at the final turn.
A little bit of an off track there at the final corner.
Nothing to see there.
That's that gap that Loshi and had at the front there out of the pits is gone. Like that's just evaporated as quick as you like. So all these guys back together, the drafters we've talked about all night, very strong. So now everyone's back in formation again, and it'll come down to fuel mileage to the next stop, which I'm going to say will be the last stop of the race, and it'll be a splash. So this is the one where the big fuel saving is going to pay off for anyone that's been able to do it really well. Expect to see them jump out to the front and, pull a bit of a gap here at the next stop.
And interestingly enough, Jack finds himself in P6, but doesn't seem too perturbed about where he's currently sitting. So there's a lot to play out.
What I'd expect to see from Jack, knowing how he operates, I've been around him a little bit before, he's probably just going to cruise, get to within a couple of laps of when he wants to stop, and he'll probably try and get to the front of the queue and put in some heaters. And he's probably being really, really mindful of the mileage. And I'd say he's probably going to be one of the guys who has the shortest stop at the end here.
Yeah.
And be looking to make a gain on the last stop stationary time-wise. So he won't want to sit back there where he is at the moment when it gets time to make those pit stops. But for the time being, I can see him being quite happy there. He's no threat of losing the pack and can keep himself in touch for the time being. And when it gets to business time, watch out.
Every time Lee comes through that corner, it must be netcode, like you said earlier, Pablo, because he does it every lap, but it doesn't seem to slow him down. So
he's just committed. I've never known Lee to be anything but.
Yeah, it's that.
If there's a millimeter of track there, he'll use it
and more.
And
more.
Jack's decided that Lee is too slow, so he's made the pass.
I don't know if too slow or too scary. I mean, that's sitting right behind someone who's getting that close to the edge of the road is a daunting prospect.
I was being polite. You're probably being more honest.
I love racing with Lee, though. He is extremely fast, very, very talented. I think anyone would argue that. Very, very good driver, but he races with so much respect, as to all these guys, which is why this league is so fun to be a part of, because the respect on track you don't really probably see on this level, I don't think really in any other league. So, that's why we all enjoy getting out there and racing each other, because there is so much respect. But Lee, it's interesting for me now. He's at the back of this group, and he'll probably ride around and do the same thing and save as much as he can. But I feel like all these guys, but him in particular, at the end, they'll be ready to set some fast times.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just looking at Nev down the straights, and he's not rolling out of the throttle. He's pushing Jack along. So maybe he just wants to break the pack.
I'm just
pretty tough prospect to pull a gap in a group like this. And I would say that's probably not the smartest strategy. You'd be better off trying to save a little bit of fuel. Yeah. But either way, I mean, he's at the pointy end. He's having a ripper race. This is a big drama coming down the hill. Who is that? Oh no! Oh!
It came up as there was
right,
a bit of.
And the leaders are coming.
Wow.
We're good. There's a bit of a gap. That's all right. Wow, that was a huge moment.
We've got another big one too. It seems to all be happening on this lap. So it's telling me that Jesse's had an off somewhere. I wonder if... Oh, so he's lost it. Oh! Wow. There's a couple of big ones.
Yeah, drama.
Not much you can do.
I wonder if it's just tyres with the track getting a bit greasy, like Hobbo alluded to earlier, is whether it's just getting that little bit greasy and guys are struggling a little bit.
Yeah, potentially. Track temp's now up to 36, which I mean is very hot compared to where it started at. It's not as hot as it can get. Get up into the 50s and stuff, but it's gonna be a lot less grip out there than what they had at the start. Look at this, 2x2 down the straight.
Yep, I think
Nev's going for it. I love it. I think this is great. I love seeing Neville having a good race. This is good.
Neville's got a new set of pedals, so he's obviously giving them a decent workout.
It's good to see. It's good to see him having a good race.
Sounds like Moz, you might be in the market for a a new wheel or?
Oh, the wheel died. Yeah, I don't know. The wheel died. It's interesting. I'll be doing a bit of troubleshooting later on to see if there's any logs or anything. Because I do have aircon in the sim room, and it's what is it? It's set on 20 degrees, so you wouldn't think it'd be a problem.
It
I was
shouldn't
just
be.
thinking earlier on. I think it was Hobbo yourself. You made a comment with regards to one of the tens not stopping for tires, considering it's such a long race and they've only got one stop. Is that the right thing to do?
No, definitely not.
Well, there's
I've driven the 10 in recent times. No.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
simple answer is definitely no, because those tyres are going to be cooked now if you haven't changed them.
We've had Damo down the lane for his last stop, by the look of it.
Yeah, he's actually making his way back up the field through the misfortunes of a few others. So that's a really good effort.
No, he's doing a great job. It's such a shame, like what happened, because again, I think I've mentioned it before already. He's another one of those guys who's probably faster than he maybe even gives himself credit for, and he deserves to be amongst that group at the front. But yep, the fuel numbers didn't quite work out for him in that first run. So hopefully he's put enough in to get to the finish here. We got like 9 laps to go, so as long as he's got more than 9 laps of fuel, we'll be good.
Yeah, we were all gutted for him, obviously. He was running, good laps. He was right up there, and it is frustrating. But then again, he did take a gamble, so.
Uh-oh, I've got a
Also had
technical
Keith
issue of my own.
Logan.
I'll leave you boys to commentate for a minute. My headset's just going to go flat. It's beeping in my ear. Hang on 2 ticks.
Yeah,
Sure.
no worries. I'm just looking at Jack. Does he have a bit of frontal damage there?
Does look like it. In fact, he's given it a huge weave down the straight.
Yeah.
He's hit something pretty hard by the look of that. Fairly square on as well. I know probably won't see anything on screen, but I'm going to go have a quick look back and see if I can see what actually happened. Oh, yeah, okay. It was actually at Forest Elbow. He got into the back of Aaron under brakes. Aaron just checked up a little bit more than he was expecting. Ran into the back of him and then got the wall on the exit of the elbow as well, which is probably why he's been given it a swerve down the straight.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be slowing him down in as he goes for a move at the final corner. But, yeah, he definitely did get into the back of Aaron fairly reasonably under brakes there at Forest Elbow. Probably lucky that it didn't push Aaron straight off into the fence, actually. It's one of those spots on the track where you can only brake so much, and if you get pushed in a bit harder than you're trying to, then that outside wall comes pretty quick. But it hasn't slowed him down any, Jack. Going straight up to P2 now in behind Glenn. So he's got to try and bridge that gap. But I did talk about this before where he was in about P6 and just cruising at the back of the group. Must be getting ready for pit stops because he's decided it's time to go. So a couple in the lane this time. He'll be definitely dropping the hammer because we've got both Neville and Loshy down in the lane. So let's have a look and see how long their stops were. Both right in and around. I thought that we might have seen shorter pit stops in the last stop, but both of these guys have just come down. 22-second stop for both of them. So it's right in about the same range as what we've seen for all the others. So not really a splash at all, unless they've just overfueled perhaps. But Neville's got a bit of a gap on Loshy here as well. So, and with the lap car between them, it looks like Bard in the middle of them. I'll have to see whether or not he can bridge that gap as well.
Yeah, there's quite a few laps remaining, so I'm not surprised. They do. I mean, you're burning 1.3 litres a lap average.
Yep.
So yeah, so it makes sense. So I'm just wondering how long Jack can go for. If Jack can go for another 2, 3, 4 laps, then he's done the right thing.
Well, he's only about to come to 5 laps into this stint, which tells me he's probably got at least another few laps of fuel to go, and he shouldn't need to have a 22-second stop, here at the last one. But I mean, he's 5 laps into his stint. Aaron and Lee are both 6 into theirs, and Glenn's 7 into his. These guys at the front, so a bit of variance there. And according to my time, and they all had pit stops in the last stop that were about the same length. So Not sure. We're about to find out, I'm sure,
Yeah.
here in a few laps. But for the time being,
Well,
Jack's
he's going
decided
in.
to come. He's going to
Wow.
come down now. So he's going to try and protect against that potential undercut there from Neville and Loshi.
Let's see where he slots in.
Yeah, this will be the
That's
telling
interesting.
one.
Maybe it's because of the damage. He's thinking, I need a clean car, because you do get a fast repair on the way in.
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, if he wants to go out and try and get into some clean air and push some lap times out, you don't want to be doing it with a damaged car. So he just sort of caught right up to the back of Glenn at the front there, and he was probably set to get held up on the next lap. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's see how quickly he can get out, where he slots in. I do know that on that first run, Jack and I had an extra lap up our sleeves, and so he'll definitely. How long was that?
Yeah, much quicker stop. 11 seconds stop, so he's gained about 9 seconds there over Neville. You mentioned before wasn't really fuel saving, and I guess that's the difference. You know, Jack is able to sit in that group and save fuel, but now he's sort of half a length of mountain straight up the road here from Neville. So big undercut on the fuel, and you know, he reaps the reward from that now. So the one that'll be interesting from here will be to see if any of those other guys in that lead group are going to have that same advantage. I mean, Aaron was leading for a while. Lee hasn't really. He did early in the stint, but then hasn't since, and now Glenn is. So I expect all of them have probably used a little bit more fuel than Jack has, and that was close.
Yeah, around Phil. Phil did a good job getting out of the way, but yeah, so we got Lee, Aaron, and Glenn all together. So we'll see where they slot in, and how far Jack is up the road.
I suspect we're probably going to see them come out between Jack and Neville in that gap of around about it's about 8 seconds or something like that. So that's where I'm predicting that we'll see it. But who knows? I guess we could be surprised. Looks like Lee's ready to go though. He's on the brakes there, coming down the straight. So maybe not. But looked like he's going to get out the big bump draft for a minute there and push all the way down the straight. Side by side into the chase. Here we go. Oh, a bit of inside curb too. That was real dicey. Yeah.
Oh, hard on the...
Yeah, that was... see, Glenn had to get on the brakes so hard to not run into the back there of Aaron. And look what it's done for his run. He's lost a bunch of time, and that was an in-lap. I sort of thought these guys might be going to try and come and cover off Jack and push hard, but that's actually backfired a little bit there for Glenn. And Lee, because he was caught behind it.
So... effectively, well, actually, Henry is actually leading, but I don't know where that's.
And he was on the same strategy as Aaron and Lee, 7 laps into that stint there. So his fuel positioning, he should be somewhere near these guys. So we'll see what happens. It all depends how much they've saved. That's what it all comes down to here. You've been doing 25 laps, and we haven't been able to tell who's had all the advantage to this point. But this is where it all finds out. And this is interesting. Aaron out in front. He's going to be in the lead here on the pit exit. So that's a really short stop from him as well. That's a 11-second stop. That matches what Jack did, and he comes out in the lead effectively.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great fuel saving.
And Lee looks like he's popped out.
Lee popped out exactly where I thought that they all would, which is sort of, he had a 15-second stop. So that's halfway between what Jack had done and what Neville had done behind. So he's right in the middle of that gap. And Glenn, who we saw pushing pretty hard there throughout that last stint, was using a lot of fuel, obviously. So he's come out right next to Neville as they come up to turn number 2.
Yeah. Lee's in no man's land. I'm not sure if he's going to catch up to the pack. I think he's done, considering it's going to be a dash for the line. And we've got Nev, Glenn, and Losh to fight it out behind Lee.
And it is on at the minute between Jack and Aaron at the effective race lead. It's a bump draft up through Silverman Park.
So is Aaron now trying to fuel save because he's potentially underfueled, or because the last thing he probably wants to do is let Jack through, because if Jack drives away, then it's all for nothing. So
it'd be interesting to know what's going on inside that helmet, wouldn't it? Because
it would, yeah.
At the minute, if you got to be fuel saving, you're leading, and there's one probably person out there that you don't want behind you right now, and it's probably Jack because of how fast he is. And you know, if you can hold him off, that would be a hell of a hell of an achievement. But unfortunately, I think the way it is here with the draft in the straight line, you'll probably see him go past. The question will be whether or not he can stick with him in that case and actually race him to the finish, or if he just has to save fuel and just really can't compete and just sit behind him. So it all remains to be seen. We've still got Henry to pit yet. We don't know where he's going to come out either. But this looks like it could be the race for the lead right here, these two.
It does not look like Aaron really wants to give it up, but he's been forced to now. So
there is something else that I'd like to just quickly point out, and that's that the race is not over for Class B either. We saw a bit of a gap appear after the pit stops with these guys, but Ant Cuthbertson has got about half a car length lead right now over Anthony Connors. So this one's going on as well in Class B, just like we're hoping might happen. These guys are going to battle it out to the finish too. And we're not quite sure about the tyre situation for these guys, if they all took tyres or didn't. So who knows? But that gap has really closed up from what we saw at the exit of the pit stop.
The interesting thing here is that they're also going to be battling amongst lap traffic, which is always a risky thing at Bathurst.
Yeah, oh, very much so. And while we keep one eye on this as well, Henry did just pit out of the lead there on the last lap. He's popped out right around near Lee, just behind Lee. So P4 on the road, that's a hell of a great effort. And we saw him start right up at the front. But he's held on here, really, across a very long race. And he's sort of left himself in a really good position. He's close enough, I think, to perhaps latch onto the back of Lee. And he might be able to have a race here for a podium finish, which would be a great result.
And the thing that always amazes me with young Henry is that he actually races on a desk. You'd know all about that, Hobbo, but yeah,
been there, done that. Yeah.
he races on a desk, so he's doing a fantastic job. And this is going to get awfully messy unless that 16 car.
Yeah, looks like they're going to sort themselves out. 3-1. Oh yeah, here we go.
Uh-oh. The side draft off a 16 car for the 10 is incredible down this straight, so that will be helping both. See, as you can see, the 16 doesn't pull away.
No, they're pretty sprightly, the 2010 cars in a straight line, and that's deep under brakes. Oh my goodness.
He's off, and that's potentially handed.
It's all right. They're still in the battle. Here we go. This is going to be good.
Wow, and that's a lapped car that now decides he wants to play with the... and...
Sean Memler's got the best seat now.
Oh, no!
They got through it. How did they get through it? They did.
Who was that? It looks like it was... it was Mick Polly, the guy that had just passed them.
And we've got dramas up at turn 1 as well. We've had Tyson Gordon up the escape road. We just saw, can't remember, I didn't see who that was. Someone else was up the escape road too at turn number 1.
How did they get through that?
All going on there. That's what are we talking about? If you're going to have an accident, make sure you do it right in front of the leader. Well, Class B just went off right there. That was unreal. But luckily, Ant has gotten through that.
I think Ant Cuthbertson's gone to the pits though. He has.
He has, yeah. So Anthony Connors got through it, but what it has done is it's brought Darren right back into the fight. So there's still a race for Class B honours, but it's with 2 different cars.
I think Class B is where it's at because Jack has checked out. Aaron's lost a bit of pace, but it looks like Henry's catching Lee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it was actually Ant Cuthbertson was the other one that I saw off the escape road at the end of the main straight. So that's the other one that I saw at the corner. That's a shame. I mean, he's done everything right, hasn't he? And just got caught out by something that wasn't his fault. So that's horribly bad luck, and I feel terribly about that. But we do still have a great race though for the outright honours there in Class B. And yeah, like you mentioned, we've got a bit of a gap forming at the front here. It doesn't look like Aaron's been able to hold on to Jack. And whether that's Jack's pace or we speculated perhaps that Aaron has to save a little bit of fuel because of his short stop there. Not sure. But Lee is still only just up the road from Henry. There's still a chance that that gap closes up here in the last 3.5 laps for the end of the podium in Class A. And then there is a dogfight happening behind these guys. Neville, Glenn, and Loshy all getting stuck into it. And I think that this one's not quite resolved yet either.
So Lee's been held up here by a slower 10 car.
That was a
Manages-
big drama, but it's closed that gap up, hasn't it, here for the
Henry's
podium?
hit. Oh no, Henry's hit the back. I think he's hit the wall trying to avoid the 10 car.
It looks like he might have got away with it. It was really dicey, but no damage that I can see on that car.
Wow, he's very lucky.
That's so lucky, so lucky.
Seems to be driving in a straight
Looks like
line, which is always good.
He looks like he's stopped the pace. So I think that's okay. It's almost like the status quo on that one. Lee got held up and then so did Henry, so it kind of worked itself out. It did bring the gap back down a little bit to that chasing pack, but I get the feeling with only a couple of laps to go that these guys are going to be racing each other a bit too hard to make many inroads here. It's on at the minute. I mean, Glenn's leading that little trio and it's far from resolved. Neville still potentially, he's in the top 5 spot right now. I mean, yeah, he's not far away from a podium and he's been good all day. So never know what might happen here in the last couple of laps. But those three are definitely set to have a good scrap. We've still got Tyson Gordon off the escape road at turn number 1. He's been there for several laps. So I'm not quite sure what's happened to him.
If I know Tyson at all, he's probably decided it's beer o'clock.
Yep.
He's pulled over for a cold refreshment.
Yes. Yep. We'll come back later and finish the race. That's good.
Yep. Well,
I've got one close eye on this Class B race for the lead here at the minute. These guys are still nose to tail, and Darren seemed all but out for the count there for a while. I mean, he dropped off the back at the last pit stop, but all of a sudden it's come right back to him. So who knows whether or not he can get the job done. But I mean, he's made up a couple of spots in the field here, and he's in for a chance at the win here if he can get by Anthony.
that gap, the gap is coming down between Henry and Glenn across the mountain, but it seems like it's a bit of a rubber band type gap.
Yeah, well, I mean, the data's a little polluted from the last lap. We saw Lee and Henry both have huge moments. Interestingly, though, they were both still quicker than Aaron in front, but the fastest car on the track last time around was Glenn Boyd. So he's on a tear at the minute, and I mean, he's got a fight on his hands with those behind him for sure, but it's not slowing him down any at the minute. I mean, he's making inroads. That last lap, he was over a second quicker. So, than Henry in front, obviously with the drama that he had. So he's not far out of that draft range at the minute. I mean, we've still got 2 more laps once they cross the line. It's not beyond the realm of possibility here. That was so close as well.
It was, wasn't it?
But yeah, I mean, maybe this group of 3 becomes a group of 4 here before we see the checkered flag. So it could all go up. It could all happen here. And it probably will.
Yeah, Neville was giving Glenn a bit of a helping hand down the... You've got to be so careful doing that, though, because the 4Xs tend to come from nowhere.
I'm going to suspect we might have a problem, though, here for Henry and fuel.
Really?
And I
Pretty sure he was in the clutch from the turning point at the chase all the way.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
he's well short on fuel, which is a real shame. It's going to put him out of position here.
But is that the same for Aaron? Aaron has got Lee well and truly all over him now.
Well, we did speculate, didn't we? That short stop
Yeah.
got him some track position, but he seems to be struggling now. That last lap for him, 3 seconds off the pace. Jack Boyd was the quickest with a 32.5. Aaron with a 35.9. So 3.5 seconds off the pace of Jack. There goes Lee past.
Yep. I reckon Aaron and Henry might be in a spot of bother.
Definitely, yep.
Let's quickly go back and let's have a look at Group B. Yep, they're still together.
You can't take your eye off this one because this is all set to happen. You don't know, like if Darren's just waiting and biding his time here. He's still got, looks like the lap. What have we still got? What have we got laps left? It's coming down towards the last lap here. So
Yeah.
maybe he's just waiting and planning to pounce with the draft on the last lap. But yeah, it could all go up in smoke if you pull the trigger at the wrong time. So I don't know. He's right on him. He has been ever since he made that gap up there with the incident at the final corner. But, that Anthony had to avoid before. So I don't know. We'll see. I've got a keen eye on it. I can't wait to see how it pans out. Interestingly, though, the race for Class B is on right now directly in front of the leader of Class A. So they're about to go a lap down as well here, all while it's all happening.
So if they go a lap down before the finish line, that'll be one less lap.
Yes, yeah. So that's where I got confused. I was following Anthony and saying he had 2.5 laps to go, but of course only 1.5 laps to go because Jack's about to pass them. So they're all going to be on their white flag lap here this time around.
And the gaps, it's coming down. No, Aaron's in serious trouble.
Yeah,
he's in big trouble. He's well out of it.
Yep.
So it was a brave move on the fuel to try and get track position, which can work, but saving that much around here is pretty hard in these cars. So he's sort of fallen short here at the last hurdle.
And
Looks like it's a race.
Henry is, Henry's out of it. Him and Aaron have dropped right down to 6th and 7th. So effectively, this is the battle for 3rd place. Oh, they're both
Yeah, wow.
Wow.
They've gone for the Damien Seeger fuel economy approach on that one, and it hasn't quite worked out. So he's gonna. The funny part about it is the Damo will get some spots back from that potentially as they come down and fill up with some fuel. He might actually make a couple of spots back after he made that mistake early in the race. So swings and roundabouts. But this is on for the podium. You're right, and Glenn's got it at the minute. We know he's a wise old head, pretty crafty driver. Neville's got it all to do, but with this being the last lap, it's time to send it.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. I don't think Neville will be overly concerned about where he sends it. Just as long as he can get it done. Loshi has dropped off a little bit off the back of this. I wonder if he's also got some fuel issues. Although I
suspect you might be right. Like he was right with them, and you wouldn't expect him to maybe drop off the back at all. So potentially he's just trying to manage it to the finish, and he's in position to pick up a great result. But maybe just didn't quite have enough in the tank to really be a threat here. But who knows? Maybe he'll send it from back there and pass them both on the last lap. We don't know.
It's
Meanwhile, we've got Lee coming up on the race for the Class B honours, and hopefully he doesn't get too involved with this. He doesn't need to, so he might try and pass him down the straight. But knowing Lee, he'll be smart about this one and just watch this battle across the top of the hill. And these guys are definitely, they've got it all to play for right here.
Lee's in that horrible position, but I suppose checks his relative. He's got nearly 3 seconds.
He has got time, but he's probably got the straight line speed also. These guys respecting and getting out of the way with him, but what Darren probably needs to do here is jump in behind him. Yeah, here he goes, and see if he can get a bit of help.
Oh no!
Maybe try and box him out. This is going to be on.
I think Anthony's.
Lee perhaps might not have made the right call by getting in the middle of this one. It could all go wrong for him too, so let's see what happens. They all played nice.
Oh, they did.
That was nice driving by everybody. In the meantime, Jack Boyd coming to the finish.
So Glenn's run off at the final corner.
He has. He's gifted the spot. Neville Mel's going to get a podium. Jack Boyd with the win. It was a great drive by Jack, and not surprised by that at all. He's a class act. And Lee with a great drive to P2. And then Neville Mel descended from the heavens. He's got a podium finish. He'll be wrapped with that. That was a great drive, and he deserved it too because he drove really well all day. And a nice podium finish for that. And of course, Anthony Connors goes across the finish line and blows up his 2010 Mazda because why not? He's already won the race. But a great win for him and Darren in P2 there. Looks like Philip's going to get across the line for P3 in Class B. So that was really good.
Contact. Oh, wow. There was actual contact.
Over the green room. Thanks for a little bit of a chat.
So, I wondered what...
Is this... yeah.
So Loshi's died.
Have a look. Loshi's gone for the bomb.
Yeah.
Oh dear. At that point, it looked like Neville might have had it in the bag. I wonder whether or not Glenn was a little fuel compromised himself down there. He was in position to go for a move, decided not to. It caught Loshi out because he changed line and it caught him out. He ended up super deep under brakes and just cannoned into the side of him there. So it's been unfortunate, but I think by that point it was pretty well signed, sealed, and delivered. I think Neville was going to get the job done regardless there.
Well, that for a 30-lap race, that certainly came down to the wire, didn't it?
How good to see races happening in the podium positions for both classes after that long with no safety cars. I think that says a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I think the racing overall tonight was right up there with some of the best we've seen.
Thanks, PJ.
Yeah, I agree. That was a cracker. It was a great race.
Almost
makes me wish I had gone out there for a steer, Greg.
Well, you're more than welcome to come and join us anytime. You know that, Hobbo.
Yeah, that's all right. I actually enjoyed myself in here tonight. That was good.
Do you want to? You're going to hang around for the interviews, Hobbo? You can do the interviews if you like.
Sure, we can have a chat to a couple of people. Have we got some people waiting?
Yeah, I'll bring in the Class B guys first. So
sounds good.
So we've got Phil, Anthony, and I'll bring Darren in.
Good night. Cheers.
Very good. All right. How good. We've got everyone in here. That's good.
Yes. Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. That was a hell of a great race, particularly between you, Anthony, and Darren for the finish there. You guys had it on ever since that altercation at the last corner there with a few laps to go. But that was a great race, entertaining for us to sit here and watch, and we really enjoyed that. It was right in amongst the Class A leaders at the end of the race too, so that was exciting, and we really enjoyed it. But Anthony, tell us, congratulations on the win, and how did the race go for you?
Thank you. Well, I actually short-fielded myself, so I had I held Darren up to let Jack pass, so I could get that one lap up my sleeve, and then went across the top of the mountain and waited and held him up. So Lee turned up and then used Lee because I know Darren would have got me otherwise down Codrod.
It was definitely a pretty hairy last lap there, like you mentioned with Lee. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for a pass on you guys or just sit behind, but in the end he did go down the inside there and on the final lap, so it made it pretty interesting for you guys. So that's interesting. So you were short the fuel. Did you expect to go a lap down by the end, or were you just hoping that Jack might catch up?
No, I had no idea. I didn't know what I was going to do until I seen Jack that was 12 seconds behind us, and that's I just had to pull it right up and then let him catch. And then side draft against Lee was just, I can keep up with a 2016 car in a side draft, so I knew Darren wasn't going to catch me then.
Yeah, no, that's actually very, very intelligent there. That's a great way for the race to end. Darren, congratulations on P2. What was your view of all that?
Yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, Anthony's just a little bit quicker than me across everywhere on this track, so congratulations to him. Yeah, I had no tools in my belt left. I used everything I had, and second is as best that I could do.
It was a great drive. You did very well. Tell us about the pit cycle, because you were right in amongst the fight at the front before the pit stop cycled through, and then seemed to fall off the back a little bit. So what happened during the pit cycle?
Yeah, I put in 20 liters to make sure I had enough fuel. Did the tires, came out a little bit behind, but what really got me is cold tires at the top of the mountain. Slid out a little bit, lost about 4 or 5 seconds, and then rest of the race trying to catch that back up.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. I'll just quickly cycle back to you, Anthony. Did you take tyres at your pit stop?
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, I had plenty of time. Fuel covered it. So, but then I was just 1 lap short on fuel. So
it worked out perfectly for us in the box, because it was fantastic to watch all the way to the end. I mean, you had a fight going with Ant Cuthbertson as well until that drama happened at the end. So we lost the fight between you guys for the lead, but it brought Darren back into the picture. So we still got something really good to watch. It was great racing between you guys, a lot of respect, and it was good to watch. So congratulations to both of you. Philip, you're in here as well. So tell us a little bit about your race.
Well, first time here, thanks. Oh, look, I had a good race. I mean, yeah, I was just slow and steady for me. I knew I wasn't going to keep up with Ant and Darren. So for me, it was more about just having a clean race, which has probably been my whole season, really.
That's a good strategy. I mean, to finish first, you must finish. I mean, you're selling yourself a little bit short. We did 30 laps, or you guys did 29 in Class B, but you're only, I think it's 18 seconds from the lead. I mean, it's not like you were that far off the pace, really, when you think about it across the entire race. So
yeah, 1.5 seconds each, pretty much. So, but that's all right.
I think that's.
I'm happy with what I did.
I think you should be. I think that's a great result. And congratulations to all three of you on a podium in Class B.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Cheers.
And
we've got,
while you're at it, Hobbo, you're doing such a great job. We've got Neville Mel and Jack Boyd joining us. Podium, Jack finishing first and Neville third in Group A.
Yeah, well, I'll go the opposite way this time. Let's have a chat to Neville first because I was really impressed. I was really impressed by your drive tonight, Neville. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for that.
You were right at the front. You were pretty aggressive actually throughout the race on pace, and it looked like you might have paid the price for that a little bit with the longer pit stop. But tell us a little bit about the last few laps of the race there, how it all started to come back to you.
Yeah, no, I don't think my pace really dropped off very much throughout the whole race. When my first pit stop, I had no fuel selected, and I had to sit there, and then I selected it, and it short filled me, which sort of put me out of kilter with everybody on that second stint. And then the third stint, I was out of kilter again. I think I was able to go a bit quicker by myself. That lead group was a bit slower as a group, which seemed strange.
Yeah, I suspect probably a few cat and mouse things happening at the front, like we see in the big packs, and a bit of saving both fuel and tyres, I suppose. So you found that with a little bit of clean air, you could just go a bit quicker.
Yeah, that wasn't my plan, but that's what ended up happening. Yeah.
I'm trying to look back here to see. I can't actually see on my screen whereabouts you started. Was it P7 that you came from? Is that right?
P7. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great drive. You should be very happy with that. Just quickly, anyone that you want to thank?
The sponsors, Greg, Damo, the whole group's excellent, mate. I've had a really enjoyable time this last few seasons.
That's great, good stuff, and yeah, congratulations on a podium here tonight. That was a great drive. Lee, it looks like Lee's here. Lee's last in the door, but here he is. Congratulations, Lee. P2. Were you happy with how the race went?
Yeah, pretty happy. I sort of was trying to play the save fuel card, but I don't know. Jack's just an alien, and I don't know how he did it. I only made it to the line with a couple of laps left, and I took way more fuel than they did. So, yeah, I don't know. He's a freak.
Yeah, well, that's not news to anyone here around here, I don't think. But we did actually. It was Aaron that took the fuel stop to match Jack in the final stop there, and he sort of came out with the track position. We saw you come out right in the middle, sort of between Jack at the front and obviously Aaron, who short fueled himself by the look of it, and the guys who all pitted from in the group that were sort of equal distance behind. So you sort of found yourself in no man's land in that last stint. I mean, yeah, what was I going to say? The last stint of the race, I don't think you actually really ended up racing around anyone. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Jack and Aaron were 5 seconds down the road, and yeah, I was hoping that Aaron was going to put up a bit more of a fight and slow them both up a little bit, but that Jack's just too good, so he made the pass, and then he could keep the pace up without dropping too much fuel. So yeah, it was a bit of a lonely last stint, but the rest of the race was pretty fun. Just trying to manage the gaps and see where everyone else was at. I think there was a few guys out there that were on some varying strategies, like Glenn and I think Loshi and Damien Seeger might have pitted and were off strategy. So it was interesting to try and work out where they were throughout those middle stints.
Yeah, it was good from our point of view. We had lots of stuff to watch and talk about throughout the whole thing and speculate really how all the strategy was going to play out. I think for sure you had great pace tonight. You've had great pace all season. So congratulations on a P2. Is there anyone that you want to say thanks to?
Yeah, obviously Cody and the team here at Pro Karts Race Centre for giving me a sim every Monday night. Greg, the team, everybody for putting up the sessions and making this series happen. It's so fun just jumping in these Mazda MX-5s and ragging them for a few races every Monday night and blowing off the steam from the first day back at work. But yeah, and thanks to you for jumping in and commentating. I miss you on the track and battling with you as well, but it's good to hear your voice on the live stream, and I can't wait to go back and watch it and hear all of the wise words that you had for us.
I'm new around here, so when it comes to commentary, so don't judge me too harshly. Congratulations again tonight, and last but certainly not least, Jack, congratulations on the win.
Yeah, hey Hobbo.
How's
On
it
the other
going?
side of the fence tonight.
Yes,
I was waiting to have another schooling of Hobbo's fuel saving, but no, that's cool. You got on the mic tonight. That's pretty cool. It's yeah, it was a lonely race a little bit, that last stint. I was missing you a little bit, but no, it was a good race. It was a long one. yeah, all about fuel again. Anything over sort of half hour, 40 minutes is always going to be one on fuel. So that was good. Good little exercise to practice saving some fuel, and yeah, it's a pretty good race.
You did a great job. I'm glad I wasn't out there because I would have got schooled like everybody else. I think tonight you talk about me knowing what I'm doing, but for sure you had everyone covered tonight. Once again, we saw actually you had a few moments. I think you might have bumped into the back of Aaron, maybe there towards later in the race as well, and got a bit of damage from that too.
Almost a perfect race. In that over Skyline, rear stepped out and had real damage for the rest of that sort of first stint there, and then in the second stint, who I didn't see, and I've just drilled Aaron, so. Sorry to him, gave us both a 4X, which is I don't think there was actually any more incidents apart from that. So, yeah, pretty good overall.
It was good for us up here. It meant that we could actually see that you are human after all, and managed to touch the wall at least once tonight, which I don't think anyone expected. So that was good. Congratulations again on the win. Quick shout-outs before we finish it up.
Well, I think a quick shout-out to you, mate, giving up your Monday night to commentate and, watch us fellas have a good brawl around Bathurst. So thanks to you. Thanks to Damo and Greg, the usual admins, for putting it on for us. So thanks everyone. Cheers.
That's no problems from my point of view. I had fun tonight, and thanks to all you guys for putting on a good show for us all to watch. I think that's about it for me with the interviews. Greg, if there's anything you want to cover off before we finish up.
We'll just jump back to Phil firstly. If he's got anyone he wants to thank, any sponsors, Phil?
Oh, look, I think the sponsors make this league happen. So, including myself, but Sim Rigs, and I know what's it, Jesse's
Carrigan Son.
Carrigan Son, and Sorry, I'm wrecked.
That's all right, mate. No. It's your first time up here. It's
first time up here.
Yeah, you're not telling me anything. I know all about the nerves of trying to talk on a broadcast. Darren.
Yeah.
Is Darren still with us, or is he mute? He might have muted us actually.
Hey, mate.
Anyone you want to thank for tonight?
Yeah, I just want to thank you and all the Roadster boys coming in every single Monday night, putting on a great show, and just making it fun. So thank you very much.
No worries. And finally, Anthony Connors, the Cobra. Anyone you want to thank?
Oh, I would like to thank, even Anthony Cupson on racing tonight. He just didn't end up right for him in the end, but it was a great little fight with him. I'd like to thank him too. He was very clean and very well to race with. But yeah, just everyone, mate. You, Hobbo, for jumping in. Thank you very much. And just a great night it was.
All right, no worries. And finally, to close off, I really sincerely want to thank Brenton Hobson, better known as Hobbo, for jumping in and giving me a hand tonight. It's probably one of the most enjoyable streams that I've taken part in, and a special thank you to Moz as well, who it's not easy once you have a technical difficulty halfway through a race when you're having a good race, but to his credit, Moz jumped in, and the insight that both him and Hobbo gave us tonight on the stream was incredible. So shout out to both boys, but especially you, Hobbo, for jumping in and giving me a hand. Really appreciate it, mate.
My pleasure. It's great fun.
All right. On that note, I think we'll end tonight's racing, and we'll be back on air again next week for round 6 of season 10.